Hi everyone, I'm Josh Miller and welcome to my YouTube channel. I make videos on fashion, pop music, and self-improvement so that way you can live with style, confidence, and enthusiasm. And because style is my favorite subject, today I want to talk about my major in college, merchandising, why I love it so much, and why I think that you should too. So to start, what even is merchandising? In college, I learned that merchandising is the sum of all activities and processes taken by a business in order to generate a profit through buying and selling products. If you think about it this way, if you are a small retailer, you probably aren't able to make every single product you sell. For example, if you are a small corner grocery store, you probably aren't going to be able to manufacture ketchup, which means you're going to have to buy it from a manufacturer like Heinz. And the process of how you make sure that you make money through doing this and that you don't just buy things and sell them and make no money and then go out of business is what merchandising is all about. So if I'm ever at a dinner party and someone asks me what even is merchandising, I just tell them it's the process of making a profit through buying and selling products. And while this might sound super simple, I promise that it's actually very complicated because there are so many things that go into creating the perfect product assortment for customers given their demand and what's going on just in the broader business world. Which is why I want to break merchandising down by discussing the 4 pillars of merchandising. And also as a side note, these pillars are also sometimes referred to as the 4 pillars of marketing, but just know that these concepts are so abstract that they can really be applied to any subject, but for today's video I'm going to talk about how they apply to merchandising specifically. So in college, I was taught that the 4 pillars of merchandising are product, price, place, and promotion, and I'm going to go through all of these and how they apply to merchandising. So the first is product, which many people consider to be the most important part of merchandising. So in order to make a profit through buying and selling products, you need to have products that people actually want to buy, or otherwise you're not going to be able to make any money. And merchants usually figure out what people are going to want to buy through doing one of 2 things. The first is hindsight analysis, which is just a fancy term for looking at everything that's sold in the past. And the second way that this is done is through trend forecasting. In fashion, it's not uncommon for major fashion brands to have entire teams of people that are looking at every single thing being worn in film, television, and on the runway to figure out what are the trends that customers are going to want every time they go into the store. Our second pillar is pricing, and this one has always fascinated me. Merchants need to make sure that they sell their products at the right price so that way they're able to generate the right profit for each product that's sold. But they also want to make sure that they don't set the prices so high that customers end up shopping at their competitors for the same good. This is why it's very common for retailers to have entire teams of pricing analysts that are doing research on what customers are willing to pay for a given item and what the competitors are selling that same item for. And another thing that merchants have to think about is the way that price impacts the reputation and the public image of a brand. If a retailer like Louis Vuitton, for example, wants to be known as a high-value, high-quality, fashion-forward luxury brand, they're going to have to charge a price that reflects that. So to summarize, when selling their products, merchants need to be aware of what their competitors are selling their products for, how much customers are willing to pay, and what specific markup they need to sell the product at to make sure they hit the business's goals. And the third pillar of merchandising is place, and you might be thinking to yourself, Joshua, isn't the place where products sold just the store? And while yeah, that's true in a very simple way, I want you to think about a big retailer like Walmart as an example. Walmart has over 4,500 stores that each have their own specific customer base that all are going to have unique problems and need unique products to solve those problems. For example, you wouldn't expect a Walmart in Alaska to sell the same amount and the same type and same quality of winter jackets as a Walmart in Florida. A company like Walmart needs to make sure that the correct merchandise goes to the correct store to make sure that they turn inventory as fast as possible. It's a big deal making sure that the right product gets to the right place, and it's honestly one of my favorite parts of merchandising. It's a big deal making sure that product ends up in front of the right consumer at the right place, and this is honestly one of my favorite parts about merchandising. It's so complex when you think about a big company like Walmart and the millions of SKUs that are traveling across thousands of stores to reach each individual customer. So much planning is involved with it, and I think it's really, really special. And the fourth pillar of merchandising is promotion. This pillar is concerned with all of the sales and promotions that merchants do to get customers into the door. Sales take a lot of planning because merchants need to work across departments to make sure that other departments understand the exact sales that they're going to be pushing at a given time. So merchants need to coordinate with their supply chain teams to make sure that the product ends up at the store in time for the sale. And they'll also need to work with marketing to make sure that the right promotions are promoted to the customers, because again, if customers don't know that an item is for sale, they're less likely to buy it. But it's important to note that not all retailers do sales the same way or the same frequency, and this is by design. If a product rarely goes on sale, customers are more likely to think of it as a high status or luxury item just because the price tells customers that this item never goes out of style. So now that you know more about merchandising, I think I should explain why I think that you should care about it, and there are two main reasons for this. The first is that merchandising will help you be a better consumer. Sometimes retailers will initially sell their products at a very high price, knowing that customers aren't going to buy them, but then when they put them on a little bit of a sale, customers think of the sale as extraordinary with respect to the original price, and because you know this about merchandising now, you can make sure that you don't fall for this trick. And the second is that merchandising will ultimately help you appreciate shopping more. Once you start to understand how complex merchandising is, you can start to realize that every single time you go into a store, all of the thousands of lives and boats and ships and trucks that were involved in that specific product reaching that retail shelf. It's really cool to think about how human the retail industry is and how much planning is involved in every single thing that you see whenever you go to the store. It's something that I'm super passionate about, and I hope that you will be too. And it's for this reason that I believe that merchandising is so important to society, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much. Merchandising is the backbone of how all of the products that we use and love every single day end up in our hands, and I think that there's something so special about that. And another thing I love about merchandising is that it's always different, but it's also always the same. After you study merchandising for long enough, you start to realize that there is a consistent ebb and flow of product in and out of the store. Whether it's a change of the weather, back to school, major holidays, or major economic shifts, merchandising follows consistent patterns based on consumer demand. But within this schedule, things are constantly changing if there's, say, a supply chain problem or if something goes viral on TikTok, which is what makes merchandising so compelling as a field to me. So to conclude, merchandising is one of my biggest passions in life, and I truly am so happy that I studied it in college. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and give this video a like, and let me know in the comments, do you enjoy shopping and which retailers do you think are better than others at merchandising? And if you'd like to see more of my content, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at _ Joshua Miller for new videos every single day. And most importantly, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, this should be good. Let me try. So I'm sitting like this, kind of far. I feel like this makes the most sense. Yeah, I'm gonna sit like this.